usually I try to say this at the beginning of everything that I do. When I first start to work and talk with people, the first thing I tell the writer or whoever I'm working with, the first thing I say is something's going to go wrong. And they'll say, what? And I was like, I have no idea, but something's going to go wrong. I need you to stick with me. Whatever it is, I need you to stick with me because there is never in the time of filming anything on this planet where something went so smoothly that there was never a problem.
Congratulations for being
Really a fantastic experience.
Nobody's gonna die. It's
Congratulations for being accepted to Houston Comedy Film Festival for Women of the Year for your mockumentary. Darryl and Laurie, how do you feel about your acceptance? Because I know, Laurie, this was a big deal for you.
yeah. Well, I'm pretty excited about it. This started as a project. Kathy Ranking had a create your own content class. 2020, everything shut down, so there were all these online classes, and so I did the class, and it really inspired me. Every week we had an assignment, to write about this or that. So I wrote this just as a class assignment, and and it was well received. But then the class ended. I'm like, well, I guess that's it. And then Darryl reached out to me a couple months later and he's like, hey, would you like to make that into a film? Because I didn't really know the next step. I'm like, I can write something, but I don't know how to make it happen. And he's like, well, we could just film this, on an iPhone, make it look like a mockumentary. That way we don't have to worry about a bunch of overhead with cost. And I thought that was a brilliant idea because I wouldn't have thought to do that. And so I had a script all written and he and I sat down and kind of talked about my life. And he goes, I have a better idea. How about we improvise this whole thing? You stay in that character and I will ask you questions and you stay in the character and we'll just film lots of footage and we'll edit that together. So that's what we did.
Beautiful. Darryl, I see what you did there. What did you see in Laurie where you're like, you know what? I want to help and coach her?
The thing it's what she said. Like she did this in a class, and I listened to it, and I think maybe a month or two later, I literally just had a dream and woke up in the middle of the night and wrote out the entire outline of this film. And so then I reached out to her. I was like, I had this dream. I had these kind of thoughts, and we talked about it. And the more we talked about it and got closer to it, I was thinking she knows this character so well. As a mockumentary, just stay in the character no matter what I throw at you. And then we'll put her in different situations. And we just got a great group of people together to improv everything. She has the character and what she's doing. We gave an outline of what's going on, how everybody's supposed to feel about it, and then let them go. And it was a great thing of having it was a thing of you need to have the right people around you to do something like this. And we were fortunate enough to kind of get this group of people that were just perfect for this. And we just ran with it. And I shot as much footage as I could because I knew when you're shooting something, I'd rather have more footage to choose from than a little bit of footage and trying to put it together. So I always cover myself with extra footage. So that all really worked out well.
You did an amazing job, and I definitely wanna even just shout you out, both of you, because you're see like, so, Laurie, you have a resume for yourself with things that you've worked on, like, you're not new to this, and so even when it comes down to Darryl yourself, you've worked on amazing projects. Can y'all both just talk about this for a second? I guess with Darryl, I'll start with you on the amazing projects you worked on. Brag on yourself.
Well, I'm not used to bragging on myself. I've as an actor, I've done shows. Young Rock, The Resident. Um, I've done a couple of movies here. I got to work with Bruce Willis before he had to retire, which was really a fantastic experience. Got to work with Emily Blunt, who's absolutely lovely. Um, I've done several shows, TV shows, some film. I've also directed my own films. This is my third time directing um, a film. This is my second time directing someone else's words. So I've usually done my own words. I've helped other people. I've pretty much done every job there is on a set from PA all the way up to cinematography, directing. I've done it all. So I have a kind of, I feel like a well rounded education on set.
Yes, and I will definitely say, did you come across any challenges with you saying that this is your first time directing someone else's words? What was that like?
Well, this was my second time directing someone else's work, but I will say this, and this is what I've said. Usually, I try to say this at the beginning of everything that I do. When I first start to work and talk with people, the first thing I tell the writer or whoever I'm working with, the first thing I say is something's going to go wrong, and they'll say what? And I was like, I have no idea, but something's going to go wrong. I need you to stick with me. Whatever it is, I need you to stick with me because there is never in the time of filming anything on this planet where something went so smoothly that there was never a problem. And being independent makes it 10 times more. And not having like billions behind you makes it even more. So there's things you have to work with. And this was a prime example of having to work with whatever we had. Because we pieced this together and just put it together and shot it the way we're going to shoot it, guerrilla style. And then every step of the way, there was some sort of thing that we had to deal with. And there's always going to be something you have to deal with, no matter what your position is in filmmaking, TV, whatever it is. There's always something that you're going to have to deal with. So going in knowing that makes it much easier to deal with.
Exactly. And what would you say some of your biggest challenges were, and how did you overcome them?
Well, the number one challenge for filming anything on your own is money. Number one. Number one.
Yeah.
I've been very fortunate when I direct something. It's usually something that I've heard someone read a script or did a script reading, and something about it hits me in a way where I see the shots in my head while I'm listening to it or later. So I already have an idea of what I'm going to do. And then it's just a matter of talking to that person and then dealing with it. A lot of everyone I've worked with is they've written stuff probably for the first or second time. They've never done an entire film of their own writing on their own. So it's first time filmmakers, but not first time creatives. So it's a matter of getting them to be on board with let's make sure everything's good. And I will say, number one, you need to have good sound. Sound, number one, on top of everything. Number two, you need to be able to be seen. If those two things happen, everything else can be handled. If those two things you have an issue with, there's a lot of post production stuff you have to deal with that's very difficult to work through. But it's not insurmountable. We had sound issues and we managed to make it through.
What did it feel like in that moment as you're going through everything? This is the time where it's like this is your first time making your own film. And as he's talking about challenges, what did you go through that was your personal biggest headache?
Mm, it's a good question. Um, I guess the hardest thing for me to, like Daryl's mentioned, is I've never written anything and have it come to fruition. I've never really even written anything, to be honest, for a screenplay or anything like that. So that was kind of like all it was murky water. He'd done this before, but I hadn't, so I really didn't even know where to start. So I think that was the biggest challenge was embracing, I don't know, but I'm just going to jump in and do it and we'll see what happens. And I think that is very antithesis to what a scientist is trained to do. Everything is about risk and how much does this cost? And if you make a mistake, how many lives are lost? Like it's big stakes if you make a mistake. Whereas the arts is a lot of times you just have to take the leap of faith and do something. And the good thing is usually nobody's going to die. It's, it's like they say in improv class, if you go out and you bomb a scene, no one's going to die. So, it's just go out and do things that are interesting to you and don't worry about all the things that could go wrong. Just kind of try to focus on how to get through them when things do come up?
And in your own words, can you describe it? Because I want you to describe it in your own words when it comes down to this career driven woman that gets this call. Because I don't want to give anything away, but I think this is your moment to say it in a new way.
Okay. So I worked in corporate science for like 10 years with a bunch of people that are very uptight. And if I made jokes, I was given, come here, HR is going to come in and, I said, one time I said something like, I shouted across a room of cubicles, "Well, that was pretty ballsy." And somebody pulled me, a coworker pulled me in and said, "You can't say that." And I said, I can't say what? Ballsy. You can't say that. Someone's going to call HR on you. So that's the environment I came from, was very uptight, you know?
Oh,
And I worked with somebody who was very much like the character that I'm portraying, very full of herself and looking down on other people and this kind of stuff, and didn't really have much of a life outside of work. You know, that was her whole sense of identity, her title, and all that stuff. And so I had this kind of character, and I had to work with her a lot, and it was difficult. But I thought, reflecting back on it now, I'm like, that was great character development. You know, like you meet somebody that is real pain in the butt to deal with, and then you go, God, this would be a great character, right? And so I think I forgot what was question. Like, what, how to describe the movie and what was going on. So
yes.
basically, duh. So basically, yeah, my character is kind of based on someone that has, if someone has no life other than they don't have a family, they don't have a spouse, they don't have a significant other, they don't have hobbies or anything else. Their whole life is this one thing, and they put all their eggs in this one basket. What if that is taken away from them? You know, what's the repercussions of that? And so that's kind of where I went with that. And a lot of that, to be honest, mirrored my own kind of journey, because as I said, you know, went to school forever and studied and got this degree. And then every job I had, I was like terrified that if I left this job, I better have another one lined up, because if I had a gap in my resume, people are going to be like, well, what were you doing for 3 weeks? You weren't working. So it's this sense of like
It's
swinging
really
from
like
vine to
that.
vine. Yeah, with corporate, right? They really dissect your resume and say, well, how come you didn't work for these 2 months? What were you doing? You know? So, you know, when you make all those, when you step on these lily pads and you're being very careful about your choices and stuff like that, it's you know, I was so miserable in corporate that one of my friends, the one that I actually, Michonne, that I took with me to New York, she's a lawyer, but I was talking to her about all the stuff I was dealing with at work, and she goes, "I can't believe you became a research scientist." She goes, "You're so funny, you're so this, and you're so creative, and why don't you take an improv class? It'll be fun for you. Take an improv class; it'll get you out of your head." So it was just suggested to me as therapy. You know, do this instead of paying for a psychiatrist. So I took improv classes at Dad's Garage here in Atlanta, and I loved it, because the whole thing was, we're all gonna, you know, you have to go up one at a time and pairs and do this physical activity, right? And you're sitting there at the audience going, this is stupid. Look at these people. And then it's your turn. So, you know, you can't really sit there and judge everybody, because you have to go up and do it too. And I think what I really learned from just improv in general is, don't take yourself so seriously, because you're trained to worry about how does it look and how do you come across and what will people think of you. And you can't worry about any of that stuff when you're on stage. You have to just fully commit and not worry about, you know, what people are thinking of you, and just fully commit to where you are. So really, improv, I say, is my gateway. It was my gateway drug into acting. So after I did improv classes, I thought I really want to get involved more serious, you know, Meisner or whatever. So I took a lot of classes that were more kind of the quote serious acting classes to get training in it. And I really love it, because now, you know, I've worked with all these different people, and all these creative opportunities have come my way because I, you know, tried something new, you know.
And I like that it didn't take you had the idea and you went ahead and executed, and it didn't take you too long to just think about it. That's one of the things I like truly admire, because it takes people forever to just sit on an idea because they're just waiting for everything to be perfect. But you pivoted and you still have the end product. And I wanted to ask you, where do y'all want to take this? Do you like what's the next thing with Women of the Year after this film festival circuit?
Well, Daryl had great advice, which was go down, you know, go on Film Freeway and look at all the film festivals that have a category that is specific to your thing. And those are the ones you reach out to. And so that's kind of what I did when I was selecting film festivals to submit to, because a lot of them don't have a mockumentary category. And if you try to submit it as a short film or as a comedy, it's being graded against things that are maybe, you know, very professionally lit, and, you know, it doesn't really fit the mockumentary style. So it's better to look for film festivals that have that category, because that's more of a better fit for what you're doing, you know?
Think that you have Daryl in your corner and both of you are gonna kill it. The reason why is because you're coming into this space. Yes, you're new, but you have a business hat on. You're not gonna have any worries, because a lot of people don't even think that way. They're over here talking to the wrong distributor. They're not even in that space. Why are you wasting your time on these
Yeah.
emails? And so, no, Daryl, I just want to say yes, yes.
He's a good mentor.
And I also want to ask you, what was y'all's favorite moment, like behind the scenes, that we didn't get a chance to see, or your favorite moments?
I think
This is a funny story.
for
Oh,
me,
you go
it's
ahead.
the
Yeah.
I think the whole day in the office. we had a lot of fun with The Office and doing different things. Not everything made it into the film, but there's a moment where the people that she's talking to in that scene, um, we did a take of each one of them walking into the office first. So each of them walking in, and they each had their own individual kind of style of walking in, their thought process of walking in, and then coming in and kind of muttering about stuff. It was just fun. It was a lot of fun. It didn't, it, eventually, we couldn't make it into the film with that, but it was a lot of fun to shoot.
I love it. I love it. And question, are y'all working on anything else by any chance?
Not currently, but, who knows in the future?
Who knows?
If I have a crazy idea, I can call them up and say, "You wanna do another mockumentary?" Or, who knows? Do a series of this with this woman, who knows, right? But,
Definitely see y'all doing more stuff together because already I see excellent business ideas and y'all are executing very quickly. So y'all not taking forever with ideas. Maybe y'all can even be on camera together. Who knows? Just saying.
who knows?
Mm, mm,
Um,
possibly.
uh,
Who knows?
listen, I am speaking it into existence, and I just want to say congratulations again. Am I seeing you both in October?
Coming, I don't have my tickets yet, but I'm planning on being there.
Definitely bring.
Possibly for me. I'm not positive yet.
Just telling you now. Just be picture ready.